The following is brought to you by the Starfleet Podcast Network, SPN, The Spin. BigJ's Beef. Hey everyone, Big J here for another plate full of BigJ's Beef. Now, you're probably asking yourself, Jay, it's been a couple weeks since you've done an episode. Why haven't we heard from you? And my response to that would be, it doesn't matter. Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Star Trek Picard, Season 3, Episode 6, entitled Bounty. Now, here's the beef that I have with this episode. And if you haven't seen it, please go see it. There will be spoilers, so here's your spoiler alert. I would imagine that if you haven't seen it, you wouldn't be watching any kind of discussion or review on it. So the part that we're at right now is the crew needs to find out what was stolen from Daystrom Station. And for those of you that don't know, basically Daystrom Station is this highly classified, highly redacted facility where you have to be like really up high in the organization, Section 31 Starfleet, to even get close to any of this stuff. So Riker and Worf and Raffi go onto the station. What they need to do is they need to find out what was stolen. Why was a portal weapon stolen to hide another crime? So they finally get to where they discover another Soong-type android body. This one doesn't have a name yet, but the purpose around this one is that it's a synth body like Picard. Don't forget that the Jean-Luc Picard we see now is in a positronic brain in a synthetic body. So apparently there was if I heard it right, this was the last creation of an android by Dr. Soong. The most recent one that we saw in, Star Trek Picard Season 1, not the forefather in Season 2. It gets confusing. Brent Spiner's everywhere. He plays everybody. So in any case, the personalities of Data, Lore, Data's daughter, Lal, and I want to say probably Data's twin daughters, you take all of these androids that we have seen over time, and their personalities were all trying to be integrated into this one positronic brain. In the body of an android that, well, it was kind of like it was being described as a blending of a real body and a synthetic look. I mean, you guys may have, I understood what they were going for. What they were trying to say was that Brent Spiner is old, but we've found a way for him to play Data and these characters in perpetuity, considering the age, graying hair, whatever it may be. So now that's the body we're in, which means that it's opened the door to certainly get more of Brent Spiner beyond this season. The thing is, though, this is the final season of Picard. So I think that the way that this was done, I'm not saying that I don't like seeing Brent Spiner return to play all these characters. Here's the problem that I have. Star Trek is really tipping around that line of immortality. By that, I mean, at the end of Season 1 of Picard, the Jean-Luc Picard that we had seen and known for all of these years died. He died. And his memory, essence, nerve engrams, all of this stuff that was him was put into the synthetic body. Of course, then there were debates on, well, is this really Jean-Luc Picard? Because he is no longer in the body that made him what he was. And some will say, well, it's not the body that makes you who you are, but it's your essence, your wisdom, your thoughts, feelings, emotions, all of that. So that debate isn't what we're going to get into today, because that can be kind of a long one. So here's where I have the problem is we start dealing with an issue of immortality here. If the writers are not careful with this whole concept, okay, we've already done it with Picard, and that gave the writers a way of how do we get Brent Spiner involved in this TNG reunion show when we've seen Data die twice now. And each time we thought that it was final, that there was some finality to it. So, and I get it. You cannot have a season like this where you're bringing back all of the crew from Next Generation and somehow not have him in it and involved, and not just in it, but not playing Data. It just didn't seem right. I like how they did it. Don't get me wrong there. I think it's a very interesting concept. It kind of reminds me of Altered Carbon. And for those of you that have not seen that or know what I'm talking about, I'll just give you kind of a brief overview. But basically, in the future, your life essence, memories, who you are, is stored on this disk. And you're put into a body. The disk is called your stack. And the body you get put in is called a sleeve. So, for example, I could take my disk out, put it into another body. So it would be me, but in a different body. That's what all of this kind of reminds me of. And here's the ethical question I have on this is that, are we cheating death? Are we now at that point where they've got the body of James T. Kirk there at that station? They have, who knows who else? Oh, they had B4's head stored there. The Genesis device, it was Genesis 2 device, a murderous attack tribble. So all kinds of top secret classified things in here. So that's what's got me thinking. Is death now going to be less of a thing now because you could be put into another body? Is that what we're going to? Are we going to take away the dramatic effect of that? Now, this isn't the first time things like this have happened. A little bit of retro writing to bring back a character. It happened with Leonard Nimoy in Star Trek II. Leonard Nimoy agreed to sign on to the film under the request that the character of Spock be killed off. He was done with the role, felt that it had gotten where it couldn't go any further. Well, he enjoyed the experience of the filming for Wrath of Khan and just all of it, that he wanted to come back. Now he asked for a way to come back. And you have the whole Genesis planet was brought in, and whoopsie doopsie, Spock is reborn. Okay, go see the movie. I don't want to bore you with all the details, but basically this Genesis thing reanimated Spock's body and for some reason reverted him to a child and then back up again as a adult male. So, all right, whatever. That's where my beef is on this, is that we're taking the concept of death and we're saying we can cheat this now. We have the technology to be able to do it. And I'm not arguing that the technology isn't there or isn't realistic. I'm sure that we're going to get to a point in the future where we can do things like that. The thing is, I have a problem with it being used as a crutch for storytelling. If we start seeing that if Tasha Yar had died, the way she did. We saw it the way we did. And she came back in a synthetic body at some point unexpectedly afterwards. Now, coming back as Sela, who is the daughter of Yar and a Romulan from when Tasha Yar got thrown back into the past, so forth. Again, I don't want to bore everyone with the details on that. Go see yesterday's Enterprise. First Skin of Evil, season 1, Next Generation episode. Then yesterday's Enterprise, season 4, TNG episode. And you'll get a little more what I'm talking about. But you take away the dramatic effect of losing someone, because next scene, they're wheeling out on a dolly. Here you go. Here's your next body. We've got your original mind essence on this flash drive right here. We're going to plug the flash drive in. And of course, when we plug it in, we're not going to get it right the first time. You always have to flip the flash drive over, try again. So we're going to do a copy and paste of you on that. And what I thought was really weird was when the android, the Soong android, I don't even know, what are they going to call him? Really, you can't call him Data or Lore or Lal or Soji. He's part all of them. So there's going to need to be a name that's kind of like a neutral name. My vote for that is Soong. Screw it. Go ahead and just call him Soong. But anyway, I don't know how I got there or how I'm getting myself out of that. Okay, so I get what I was going to say there. So you're going to take away our ability to grieve for characters or to invest in them and who they are and what they mean, because if death no longer matters, then I feel that that's going to take away some of the drama, the storytelling devices. There's no reason to think that every person in Starfleet or the Federation would have the ability to be put into a synthetic golem. So I don't think that this is going to be a huge issue. I do think it's pretty strange to see your previous body, your previous dead body, this one that was hijacked from a secure lockdown station. I know that would seem weird to me. So that's something you guys can think about amongst yourselves. So that's my beef with this, is that the writers walked ass backwards into a great way of getting Brent Spiner back on the show as Data, Lore, whoever the hell you want him to be. But I'm afraid that if it's taken too far, that now any major character they could kill off, but they'd be back. The stack would get put back in the sleeve again. All right. If that starts happening, you know what I'm going to say about that. What the fuck?
Where's the beef?
We are Beyond Trek Podcast. Lower your inhibitions and surrender your years. We will add inspirational and hilarious Trek content to your day. Your attention will adapt to subscribe to us. Resistance is futile.